y'all, welcome back. So I decided to start a new series, which is kind of a weird thing to do in almost the middle of the year, but here we are. So each month I want to sit down with you guys at the very end of it and talk about the films that I saw the month, that's wrapping up. I did in fact decide to do this a few days ago, and I realized after I made the announcement on here that I was going to do it that I have only seen one movie, no, technically two, this month. That's not a video. Last month wasn't very much better, but if we combine them, I think we will have a video. And these are all fantastic movies, so we're gonna sit down and talk about all of them. This is another way that I am holding myself accountable and watching more movies because they are my favorite. That is my comfort zone, is watching scary movies. And I found myself a little bit too busy to sit down and do it lately, but if it's technically for work, maybe I'll actually do it. So let's get into it. So like I said, these are a mashup of what I saw for the past 2 months, so let's get into it. And there's no rewatches on here this month. I am going to include them if I watch them, but yeah, we'll see. So the first film I want to talk about is Immaculate, and boy does the movie live up to the name in the title. Immaculate follows a young woman who decides to devote her life to her religion and become a full nun. But as she moves into her new home, she notices that something sinister is hidden just behind these walls, and there's something strange going on. And she starts to notice this as she finds out she is pregnant. This is an incredible modern-day Rosemary's Baby-esque movie. It's not exactly like Rosemary's Baby, but it does give you that feeling if you've seen the original. I think Sydney Sweeney did absolutely amazing. I don't think they could have picked a better person to play this lead. I watched an interview where she talked about how she channeled some Scream Queens, and one of them was Mia Goth, like from Pearl, and at the end of it, I saw so much Mia Goth in that final Scream, and it was everything. Pearl's one of my favorite movies, so anytime anything like that is brought up, that movie is going to in turn become my favorite. I'm the exact same way with The Strangers and Terrifier, so instant favorite. Something that surprised me in this movie was the gore. I did not expect it to really be gory at all, but on top of that, if there was any gore, I didn't expect it to be as well done as it was. Literally, the opening scene is and you are not let off the hook after that. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There is so much gore in this movie, and it's great. Like, if you don't like gore, I don't recommend you watch this movie. It was so gory. So this one is still playing in theaters at a lot of locations, but you can also now rent it at home, and I do recommend you watch it. It is worth any money you spend watching it. All right, next up, let's talk about Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil kind of sends you into a time warp where you are zapped back into 1977 and watching a talk show. But this is not any talk show. You were watching a late night show where the producers have decided to do a Halloween special. This Halloween special traumatized the entire nation when it aired live. And that is because everyone on the show decided to push the envelope and bring about a little girl with a pretty traumatic history. She was born into a cult, and she is said to be possessed by a demon. And their entire thing was wanting to summon this demon on live TV. So you start off and you're just watching this forgotten episode. There is, at the beginning, something kind of outside of the show where it tells you the backstory of the host. And while it does get a little boring, it's really important so that you understand why this man is making the decisions he is when they're not so smart. And on top of that, so you're watching the show and you also get to see the behind the scenes stuff, which was really cool to watch. And I loved this movie. I thought it was really well done. The special effects were really cool and the storyline was great. I felt like it was pretty original, and we don't really get those often, but every so often an indie film comes along and it's just perfect. This one is no longer playing in theaters, I don't think, but it can be found on Shudder, and I do recommend you watch it. If you don't have Shudder, this is not sponsored at all, but like Shudder, if you want to, I am your biggest fan. You need to get Shudder. It's worth every penny. I think it's $6 or $7 a month. Worth it. If you like horror, and I'm sure you do if you're here, get it. So this next one isn't technically a horror. Okay, it horrified me, but it's not classified as that. But that is A24's film Civil War. Now, Civil War follows a very dystopian United States in the middle of a civil war. But you're not following one or the other side, you're following around journalists who are trying to capture what's happening. So you see both sides, you see what's going on both. This movie is absolutely gut-wrenching. It's horrific in the scariest ways, of which are truth. There's a lot of truth rooted into this, and that makes it so unnerving. It was a silent car ride home. Me, a friend, and my husband went to see it, and we got in the car and we were like, I can't talk. I just can't. There was just a lot of tension in the car, and it was stressful and anxiety inducing and sad. It was so sad. This is a mild spoiler. So they technically never say what started the Civil War and what's happening. You just get the details of what's going on in the moment. And I don't know if they did this, but I feel like that's a really good metaphor for it doesn't really matter what started the war and why it's continuing. Here's the reality of what it does. But I really appreciated the fact that they didn't really give you a side. Like, you were kind of left in the same boat as the journalists of just like trying to capture what was happening. But I thought that was really well done. Like I said, I don't know if they did that on purpose, but that was the message I got, and it was very, very heavy. So this one is still playing in most theaters. I don't know if you can rent it at home yet. It's definitely worth the watch, especially if you like action type movies. Even if you don't, I mean, I really don't. I watched 2 action movies, so that's kind of crazy. That's not really my thing. It's worth the watch. So whenever you can see it and wherever you can, I recommend it. All right, the next movie was really out of my comfort zone, but I got an early screening of it and I was like, it's got John Travolta, so why not? But that is the film Cash Out. Cash Out is an action film that follows a professional thief as he puts himself into retirement after years of successful thievery. After a job gone wrong and a love life gone south, he decides that this life is no more for him. He does not want to do it anymore. But he is quickly whisked out of that when his brother decides, hey, I actually want to do this job. It's just a bank robbery. It shouldn't be hard. It should be very quick, clean, done. And so he doesn't want his brother doing it alone. And he says, okay, well, I am going to come out of retirement and come help you, because not only are you putting yourself at risk, you're putting our whole team at risk. So they get in there and they find out that what is in this lockbox is bigger than any of them imagined. Any amount of money that they thought was in there. This lockbox is holding secrets to a very powerful family that will risk anyone and anything to make sure that stuff stays hidden. This film gave me the most anxiety, and it does have that little romance twist in there, which I really enjoyed, but this was such a good film. I loved it. I absolutely loved this movie. I don't know if this one's in theaters as of right now. I think you can rent it online, and it is definitely worth the watch, especially if you like action movies. I loved it. It was really good. Now, the final film that I saw was The First Omen. The First Omen is a direct prequel to The Omen that was made in the 1970s. Now, do I think that this franchise needed another installment? No. But it is a very good movie, and it's warmly welcomed in by me. So The First Omen follows an American woman who has chosen to come live in Rome and devote her entire life to Christ by being a nun. She gets there and she notices that things are going kind of strange. There's nuns taking their life. There's this, there's that. There's a lot going on that just doesn't feel very holy. And it all really just gets tied together with a bow there at the end, and you're like, oh. I will say this film was pretty similar with Immaculate. I did like Immaculate better, but take that with a grain of salt because I'm not really that big on the Omen movies. I just wanted to see this because it looked really good, and it was really good. But it kind of followed the same storylines, and I will say, for me personally, Immaculate did it better. Like I said, I don't really like the Omen movies, so take that as you will. This one, as far as I know, is still playing in theaters. If you want to watch it, I definitely would, especially if you like the Omen movies. You'll probably really love it. I probably would rewatch it just to watch the others, but other than that, it's not really one I think I would seek out again. Now, you can watch this without seeing the others. Like I said, it is a prequel, so it's going to make total sense to you. You also can watch the original Omen movie without this one, and it'll make sense. But yeah, I mean, I don't like necessarily think you shouldn't watch it. It was decent. But, you know, it's not one you have to see like some of the others on this list. Anyways, that is it for me today. I am so sorry that I didn't watch a bunch of movies. I will say that I planned last night on watching the newest film, Humane. It's not playing in anywhere near me, which is really infuriating. I'm gonna have to rent it, which is fine. But I really wanted to go to the movies and see it. But, you know, it's fine. So that will be on the next one, and I'm really excited to watch that one. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you on Wednesday. All right.